Sometimes life throws these curveballs that hit harder than you expect, like a fight that's about way more than just punches. Yeah, that happened to Kenya Johnson. A black belt cleaning lady who shook up a whole mansion full of rich folks, privilege, and old secrets. Let me back up a sec. It all started in Buckhead, Atlanta's poshest neighborhood, where the Whitmore mansion stood like a fortress of white marble and whispered power. Kenya was just finishing her early morning chores, dark blue uniform, crisp white apron, hands rough but steady, moving with a quiet grace only hard work and years of resilience can teach. Outside, Brooke Whitmore, the youngest daughter, was pounding away at a jiu-jitsu dummy, all cold blonde hair and icy blue eyes, wrapped in that flawless white GI with her name stitched in gold, confident, ruthless, and always ready to prove she was on top. Kenya could hear the sharp smack of Brooke's strikes through the garden window, and something about that arrogance disguised as discipline made her uneasy. Then came Ethan Whitmore, the eldest son, stepping through the front door with an ease that didn't quite fit the mansion's stiff elegance. Tall, calm, green eyes like he carried his own kind of peace in the middle of all that tension. When his gaze met Kenya's as she scrubbed the floor, that simple moment, it was the beginning of something that would unravel everything inside that house. Later that day, as Kenya washed crystal glasses in the kitchen, she caught Ethan laughing warmly with the cook, asking about the peach sauce she used to make when he was a kid. He didn't treat her like just staff, and that rarity stuck with her. But Brooke? Brooke wasn't so kind. When she spotted Ethan smiling at Kenya, something cold flickered in her eyes. Funny how some people forget where they came from just because someone notices them. Brooke sneered, stepping up with a venomous grin. Kenya didn't flinch. I haven't forgotten where I came from, Miss Brooke. That's exactly why I know where I stand. The room froze. The cook, Ethan, even Brooke herself, all caught in that sharp moment of truth. Brooke laughed dryly. Some folks look up too much and get a neckache. Kenya's reply? Sometimes looking up is the only way to remember the sky exists. Ethan couldn't hold back. Brooke, what's your problem? He asked calmly. You're attacking someone for existing. Brooke stormed out, jaw clenched, but the damage was done. Kenya's heart raced, not from fear, but from being seen. For once, not invisible. The next morning, Kenya was tasked with cleaning the family's dusty trophy room, a place of old glory and faded pride. That's when she saw the photo. Brooke, beaming with her black belt and medals, standing proudly next to their father, George Whitmore. Kenya traced the frame quietly, memories surfacing. 10 years, she murmured. 10 years no one here knew she'd trained too. Jiu-jitsu since she was 13, back in the basement of a community church. No medals, no fancy GI, but strength and technique born from survival. A bitter smile flickered. Later, in the quiet backyard, Kenya sat beneath a crooked old tree, trying to still the storm inside. Ethan appeared with a cup of tea, settling nearby without crowding her silence. Sometimes silence is the only place you can hear yourself, she said softly. He admitted he'd seen her in the trophy room. Were you thinking about Brooke? She looked up, steady. I was remembering who I still am, even if no one knows. She told him about the robbery that took her partner. The nights she scrubbed floors by day and trained by night to keep from breaking. I'm not just the woman who cleans these floors, Mr. Ethan. I don't want pity, I want respect. He looked at her like he'd just met a warrior who'd fought battles beyond the mat. That night, the mansion buzzed with a rare Saturday dinner, guests sipping champagne, discussing medals and achievements. Brooke's eyes flickered with jealousy and something darker as she noticed Ethan's easy warmth toward Kenya. Then, out of nowhere, Brooke dropped the bomb. Funny. One of our staff here has 10 years of jiu-jitsu training. Imagine that. Laughter scattered, unsure if it was a joke or insult. Kenya stayed composed, but Brooke pressed, mocking the lack of trophies, daring Kenya to prove herself in a friendly match. Kenya's calm warning. Be careful what you wish for, because sometimes you get it, only fueled Brooke's fire. Sunday came with clear skies, but heavy tension. The backyard was transformed into a makeshift ring, surrounded by elite guests, their fake smiles barely hiding their bets and whispers. Kenya arrived barefoot, simple clothes, no flashy medals, just steel in her eyes. Brooke entered like a queen, black belt tied tight, GI pristine, ready to crush what she thought was an easy target. The fight started fast, Brooke's skill on full display, locking arms, trying to dominate. But Kenya fought with something deeper, calm born of survival, moving with surgical precision. She escaped, turned the tide, and before Brooke knew it, Kenya had her pinned with a reverse arm lock. You wanted to expose me. Now look who's exposed, Kenya murmured near Brooke's ear. Brooke tapped out. Silence hung thick. Then applause. Not for the fight, but for the shock, the dignity, the unexpected. Kenya stood, steady, offering a hand that Brooke refused. Ethan's eyes welled with pride. For the first time, he didn't see a maid. He saw a woman who could change everything. But Brooke's defeat wasn't the end. She retreated to the shadows, rage simmering as she discovered Kenya's past. Certificates, trophies, news clippings, proof she was more than anyone imagined. Fear gnawed at Brooke, turning into bitter rage. Meanwhile, Kenya prepared to leave the mansion, not because of Brooke's venom, but because she refused to live in a place that demanded she justify her existence. Ethan wasn't ready to let her go. One night, he found her home in a humble Atlanta neighborhood, a place alive with the laughter of kids and the smell of home-cooked meals. Kenya sat on her porch, her daughter playing nearby. He confessed he'd chosen to be there with her, to leave the old world behind. Their connection deepened, two worlds colliding under that porch light. Months later, Ethan gave up his privileged life. Everyone has the right to defend themselves, even from being forgotten. While Kenya built hope in the community, Brooke faced her own reckoning. Her public image shattered by viral footage of her defeat and Kenya's words echoing online, Brooke confronted her fears in therapy, learning to face the woman she had become, someone faking strength to hide her own pain. On the Root Project's opening day, Brooke attended quietly, no makeup, no superiority, just silence and maybe, for the first time, humility. She left a small donation, a symbolic gesture of respect. Kenya's speech to the crowd cut deep, not about medals or fights, but about the daily battle against a system that says some lives matter less, some voices don't deserve to be heard. Ethan stood by her side, hand in hand, as the audience gave a standing ovation not just for a story told, but for a truth lived. So what do you think about this story? Does respect come from medals or from fighting for your place in the world? Share your thoughts down below. I want to know where you're watching from and how this moved you. Was Brooke's pride her downfall? Was Kenya's fight just? Leave a score from 0 to 10. And if this touched you, hit like, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe for more stories like this, stories about courage, resilience, and change. Before you go, stick around for another powerful story coming next. Sometimes all it takes to make the impossible happen is the courage to stand up and fight.